Hello everybody and welcome to another Expanded Guide. Today we are talking about Tommy Muldoon, the rookie cop. Bryn has had to talk about the investigators for the last, it feels like 100 of these guides, so I'll take Tommy today. Tommy Muldoon, he's the rookie cop. He has 3 brain, 3 book, 4 fist, 2 foot. He soaks for 8 damage and 6 horror. But that's not all that he's soaking for. This guy soaks like nobody else before him, and maybe only Will York can compare to the way that Tommy Muldoon can soak. So, and they're conveniently both blue and red. Who would have thought? Tommy Muldoon has the ability, when an asset you control is defeated, gain X resources, where X is the total amount of damage and horror on that asset. Then, you get to shuffle that asset into your deck. So let's just look at level 0 Beat Cop, which, correct me if I'm wrong, Bryn, but it soaks for 2 and 2, right?
Yes. Yeah, level 0 is 2/2.
So that means if he leaves play due to having equal damage and horror equal base 2 on them for his levels, you'll get 4 resources, and then that Beat Cop goes back into your deck, which means your Beat Cop essentially pays for itself. So, as you can see from the strength that Travis gave Tommy, he has an absurd economy. He can play a lot of assets because he's going to keep making so much money back. So when you're looking through your collection and thinking, what the heck should I get for Tommy Muldoon, you can probably pretty comfortably start with things that soak damage and horror, as we're going to see as we come through the notable cards here. His Elder Sign effect is +2. You may move up to 2 damage and or horror from Tommy Muldoon to an asset you control, or vice versa. This can be really good, and even at its worst case scenario, it's just a +2, which is a pass test most of the time. Unless you're going down 3, and then what are you frickin' doing, right?
Whose fault is that exactly?
Even with this stat line, being down 3 is going to be really hard with this stat line. It is just very solid. His deck building options, 30 cards, just the normal. He can run Guardian 0-5, Neutral 0-5, and Survivor 0-2. His deck building requirements has his personal, his signature, and his weakness here. We got Becky. This is a very strong gun. It's a very strong gun. It's a 2-cost asset that takes up 2 hand slots, commits for a fist, a foot, and a wild, but you probably want to play it instead. It comes in with 2 ammo. And then each resource gained from Tommy Muldoon's reaction ability may be instead placed on Becky as ammo. So if you don't need those resources, turn that Beat Cop's supple body into bullets. That sounds like a pretty good deal. You can spend an ammo to fight, you get +2 fist and deal +1 damage for this attack. It's just a good gun. The +2 helps Tommy get to 6. But if you have any sort of fist boost out, like say that aforementioned Beat Cop I've brought up a few times, this means you're now attacking at 7, and that's a very comfortable number to be attacking at with Becky. Tommy obviously can use other weapons, and you are going to want to put other weapons in your deck, but if you get Becky out, it's going to be a good time. His weakness is Rookie Mistake. Discard each asset you control with damage or horror on it. If no assets are discarded by this effect, shuffle Rookie Mistake back into your deck. This one could be nothing. It could be really bad. But it's very easy to play around by not, if you are taking damage, don't be I'm going to put some damage on my Beat Cop, some horror on my something worth fighting for, and then why not? I'm also going to put 1 damage on my brother Xavier. When you're putting damage on Tommy's assets, you're looking to kill them one after the other most of the time. Number 1, so you can get those resources, but number 2, so you can also avoid making a rookie mistake. Bryn, would we say a rookie mistake is spreading out your damage and horror on your assets if you haven't drawn a rookie mistake yet?
Absolutely.
It's written on the tin. It's exactly what it says.
Yeah. Yeah, you really don't want to be putting damage on either assets that you intend to keep around for a while, or keeping assets around just because you can.
His weakness is slightly one-dimensional, which is actually Bryn and I we actually just both said this before we started recording. He's not bad. He's just kind of boring. There's really no major downside to Tommy Other than the fact that, like, his game plan's not that exciting. That's really all there is to it. Is there anything you want to add, Bryn, that I may have missed for Tommy, or should we move on to some cards from the core set?
I think we're good to move on.
Sweet. So I'll throw these ones to you. Take it away.
All right, we got the 45 automatic. This one is one of our... It's in our weapons video. There'll be a link below, though, down in the description. Yeah. Yeah, you can't tell, but I was making the exact same gesture Justin was, but I know you can't see me.
I believe it.
Yeah, it's just a solid way to deal some extra damage. Pretty much never want your attacks lining up at one attack for 1 damage. Simple as that. We got the aforementioned B Cup. This is one of the better blue cards in the game, at least from the core set. Plus punch. Doesn't need to say too much more. This one does have a slight downside in Tommy of, like, yeah, it does have soak, but also you really don't want to use it unless you're using all of it.
Yeah.
Or at least like 3-ish of it.
And then also one thing to be aware of with Beat Cop is the discard Beat Cop is not a defeated asset, so you will not do Tommy's reaction ability when he dies.
Correct. You also can't use it like to respond to drawing his weakness.
Yeah.
So be aware of that. We got physical training. You often end up with like kind of a ton of resources. Playing Tommy Muldoon, most of the cards that you're going to be paying money for end up giving you most of it back. This is something to do with that money. Whether it be bump up your brain to try to test a treachery card, or bump up your punch, because 4 is on the low end. Like, it's workable, but it's not great. You want to be testing at 6 or 7 most of the time.
Yeah.
If you can. We got the machete. This one is as boring as they come.
Just like Tommy.
Yeah, I mean, it does fit. Yeah, just a repeatable option for more and more damage. We got the guard dog, which is actually incredible in this deck because you don't need it to die to both, and if it does, you get more money than you put in plus damage out of the bargain. Kind of just great. The vicious blow says do more damage.
That's good.
Does more damage good. Dynamite blast, which is it's a little bit scary looking, kind of, because you can end up doing tons of damage to both, yourself and anybody around you. Danger to self and others. But playing Tommy, you probably have ways to mitigate that damage fairly easily, even if you are at the location that you're dynamite blasting.
Yeah.
And if there's enough guys to warrant a dynamite blast, then a dynamite blast might be the best thing you could do.
And you know what I'm thinking too in my head? Do you know what's really cool to blow up with a dynamite blast? A Brother Xavier, a guard dog. You blow up Brother Xavier with dynamite blast, you're probably going to get all your money back from your dynamite blast.
Yeah, probably.
Or at least a good chunk of it. That's called an investment.
We got a dig deep here. This one is like the physical training, only instead of brain and punch, it is brain and foot. I think for Tommy, it's mostly worse because that, like, the ability to bump up your 4 punch to 5 for a resource is very strong. But this one also can be quite good. Sometimes you need to pass a foot test of some description.
Yeah.
And 2 is not going to do that for you.
Keeping the core set going, we got a bunch of staples here. You can find all of these in their relevant staple guides down in the description. We got Lucky. What's better than failing a skill test? Why, it's passing a skill test. And actually, one of our patrons posted for the video that we recorded. It's already been on YouTube for a few weeks, but the power of Lucky is not that it helps you pass a test. It allows you to take tests with some insurance, so some security. So that's the true power of Lucky. We got Flashlight. That's actually, like, Tommy Muldoon has a 3 in his book. So you could actually grab some clues from even 3 shroud locations pretty comfortably with this flashlight on standard difficulty. The downside is it does take up a hand slot. So like Becky competes with the flashlight, but Becky competes with like every hand slot. But it's still a very good option for Tommy. Emergency cache. Oh, sorry.
So I was just Becky. Becky is a jealous mistress.
Yeah, she is. She's like, why aren't you shooting me, Tommy? Tommy, why aren't you shooting me? We got emergency cache. Even though Tommy does have a good economy, you know, you will want potentially more economy in your deck, and emergency cache is great for that. Guts, overpower, unexpected courage, all boosts relevant skills, and they're just great staples. Extra ammunition. Place 3 ammo tokens on a firearm asset controlled by an investigator location. This can be Becky. It could be another gun, but as we said, Becky's jealous. She will remember that. It's just a good card for loading your guns up, especially if you're not doing Becky. But you can still load the extra ammunition on Becky. She won't mind. Last card here is Police Badge. A 3 cost, 2 experience, gives you +1 brain, puts you to 4. That's a very comfortable number. And then you can also, when investigator location is taking his or her turn, you can discard a police badge. They may take 2 additional actions. And it's also like one of the top flavor wins, right? Because Tommy's a cop, which means even though he's a rookie, he has a police badge. That's not Tommy in the art, though. No way. I'm surprised they didn't update that to include Tommy. That would have been sick in the revised core. Brandon, why don't you finish off the core set here?
Maybe that'll be in the patch notes for the video game.
Yeah, maybe. Ooh, that's a good idea. I gotta write that down.
We've got the upgraded Beat Cop. This one is better for many reasons. Obviously, still for that same 4, you still get... this is a level 0 Beat Cop, but there is an upgraded one.
Oh, did I put the level 0 one?
Yeah. The difference is that the level 2 version of Beat Cop still costs 4, still gives you +1 punch. The lightning bolt is now exhaust him, deal 1 damage to him and an enemy at your location, and he has 3-2 as his stats instead of 2-2. He's a lot better for Tommy for several reasons. Chiefly, that he is not discarded as part of his lightning bolt effect. He takes damage, so if you spend all of his health doing damage to things, he is defeated at the end of it. Mm-hmm. So you get that money back. But also you get to use it 3 times instead of once. So that's kind of cool too. We got the upgraded Lucky. Just replaces itself. More cards is good. That is the part of the game, the type of economy that Tommy will struggle with, is having cards, more cards to play. We've got Aquana. She's a 5-costed ally that you've probably never seen played before, and there's a reason for that. She's very strange. There are not a lot of investigators that really want to play with her. She has a reaction ability. When an enemy attacks you, you can exhaust Aquana and deal 1 horror to her. Deal that enemy's damage to another enemy at your location instead. You still take any of the horror dealt by the attack, but that's okay because she soaks 4 horror, so...
Man, that actually kind of seems good against swarming enemies.
Yeah, it does seem good against swarming enemies.
Yeah. That's about it.
Yeah, she is definitely... Maybe you have seen her played. I imagine she's a lot better when you're playing with 4 people.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Because there will be more monsters, and there's a much higher probability of seeing 2 of them in the same location. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, she just soaks a ton of horror before she dies.
Yeah. And if you get the full 1 damage and 4 horror, she pays herself, like she pays back. And that's like the dream with Tommy. If you ever get like that kind of efficiency out, you're like, okay, now we're rolling.
This is the truth. However, if that is the type of effect you're looking for, then look no further than the Bulletproof Vest and the Elder Sign. They are much better in possibly every way in terms of soak. They cost 2 instead of 5. They commit for a symbol and a wild. Both symbols are relevant, the punch symbol and the brain symbol. Mm-hmm. Either one of them is good. They take up your body slot and your accessory slot, respectively. The Bulletproof Vest soaks 4 meat damage, and the Elder Sign Amulet soaks 4 horror. So either one of these, if you run it out and it gets killed, you're up 2 money at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of good.
Kind of good. Sick. Let's move on to... Actually, so one thing that's also nice about Bulletproof Vest and Elder Sign Amulet is by the time you've played them on the first few turns of the game, they get destroyed, go back into your deck, and then you draw it again. That's where what Bryn was saying with the relevant symbols, because you can then just use them for tests at that point because you have other soak out there. And
Yeah.
that's where Tommy gets kind of fun, when you can do stuff like that. Alright, we're on to Dunwich. We got Taunt. Fast. Play only during your turn. Engage any number of enemies at your location. It's your job to kill enemies. This can make it so that your cloovers and other people can get away. Or alternatively, if you want to not spend an action engaging a whippoorwill, here's your solution. Bandolier's nice because it gives you an extra hand slot, which you can use to hold a weapon, which means you can hold Becky and then also hold a gun to shoot, or a knife, like the machete, the boring meets boring combo of Tommy and the machete. Prepared for the Worst is a staple. It helps you find your weapons, like Becky and other things. Upgraded Taunt. Only during your turn, you draw a card for each enemy engaged this way. This is, as Bryn was saying, this is where Tommy is going to struggle. And if Tommy, I'm going back to swarm enemies, right? That seems nice with Tommy, right? Just grab a bunch of them, grab them from another person. You need to be engaging at least 2 enemies. Otherwise, your taunt effectively replaces itself. And for our 2 experience cards in our deck, we want them to do more than ultimately just replace themselves and engage an enemy as a fast action. Because if you're looking for something that just engages as a fast action, do I have a riot whistle to sell you? Tweet! Brother Xavier, this is another great asset in Tommy because he gives you +1 brain. He can take damage or horror dealt to other investigators at his location, which is really strong in Tommy. You get this really big support tank build that Tommy can really take advantage of. When he's defeated, he also will deal 2 damage to an enemy or location. He soaks for 3 and 3, which means if you get the dream, he pays you back more than you put in. He's just a really good ally to consider for Tommy Muldoon. The brain isn't crazy relevant, and you are probably going to go to a charisma when you're building Tommy, but Brother Xavier is just a really good choice in Tommy. We have Flare. This attacks for 3, +3 and +2 damage, and then it exiles, which is a really good rate, but it also can search the top 9 cards of any investigator's deck for an ally asset and put it into play under your control. When you start getting expensive, experienced allies in your deck, this can be a really good option to easily replace with 1 experience. So if you look at it like this, where you're playing Agency Backup, which is a card we're going to see much further in this video, what Flare does is it allows you to find that ally, which means you get to play your expensive cards even sooner. And you want to play Agency Backup. Trust me, that card's a frickin' house. Stand Together gives you cards, gives you resources. Not much more to say. Economy in both sides. Pretty good. Then we got Keen Eye. You can spend a resources to gain +2 resources to get +1 book until the end of the phase, or spend 2 to get +1 fist. This is really nice for Tommy because it's permanent. He doesn't need to find it. And it gives you the ability to spend 2 resources to get to 4 book, which can probably help on the turns where there's not enemies. All right, Bryn. Wanted to keep Dunwich going.
Oh, we got the Relic Hunter. This one gives you an extra accessory slot. You can hold all kinds of things. Police badges, Elder Sign amulets, teddy bears, whatever. Charisma, which is the same thing, but for allies. This one is probably a little more valuable in Tommy because it is much easier to find allies who take damage and die for you than it is to find accessories that will do that. Not that it's particularly hard to find them, but every ally in the game can take damage. Or horror. They can't all necessarily take books. More assets, more damage, more money. More problems? I don't know.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, hopefully not. We got one of the upgraded emergency caches. I shouldn't say the, because there is more than one. This one it replaces itself.
Mm-hmm.
The type of economy he's going to struggle with is making sure he's got cards all the time.
And I know,
so this could be a good option.
Yeah, and I know someone might say, but Justin, you just said we want more from our 2 experienced cards than just replacing themselves. This one also gives you 3 resources, and it's a low priority upgrade, but it still works. Okay, stop yelling at me.
Yeah, this one is like a nice upgrade when you're walking into like scenario 6-ish.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, I've got my machine online and working, and I'm just looking for bits to make it work smoother now.
Yeah.
It's good for that. Upgraded Vicious Blow. This one it says damage, but it also says more damage than level 0. So that's good.
Mm-hmm.
More damage is better. Lightning Gun. Yeah, if you're playing big guns, firstly, Becky's gonna be so pissed.
Yeah.
Secondly, this one's a pretty solid choice. Yes, it does cost 6 money to play, but you also get +5 punch for the test.
Yeah.
Even if you had 1 punch, you'd get to test at an acceptable number.
Yeah.
You don't have 1 punch though, so don't worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
It does +2 damage. 3 damage is a nice threshold to sit up. Easy. And we got the Red Gloved Man. This guy's a bit of a weirdo. And pretty close to any deck that might ever want him. He's strange.
Yeah.
Costs 2. He costs 5 XP. He's fast. As a reaction, after he enters play, you choose 2 of your skills. You treat them as though they're 6s until the end of the next Mythos phase, I think.
Yeah, it's as long as he's in play.
Yeah, because that's when he's discarded,
yeah.
Which is his forced effect. So in a perfect world, you managed to get him killed during the turn you played him.
Wow, man, I can't.
That's probably going to be real tough.
I was going to say, can we do a Bryn's Madhouse where it's about Tommy trying to kill the Red Glove Man?
You can most certainly try.
Because that seems I'm just thinking of it that will put you in the Arkham Horror Hall of Fame if you can kill the Red Glove Man and get 8 resources out of it from Tommy.
Yeah, that would be one hell of a trick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because if he's discarded, obviously he's not defeated, and you don't gain any resources.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, we're talking about this but the Red Glove Man is still just a good card. It's weird. I agree. And with Tommy, you're like, what am I going to do? My fist and my brain? Probably. You could also do your fist and your book, right? Kill an enemy, then grab a few clues. It's very versatile to what you can do with him. But even if you don't get resources from him, he's just a really strong ally, especially if you can recur him, which we might be able to with other things coming up.
How cool would that be? You manage to get the Red Glove Man killed. Your deck size is so small now that you're just going to keep finding him over and over again because you keep getting him killed. I think I don't know how you make that happen, but it would be cool.
But there's a certain madhouse that might want to try it out. All right.
I know a couple of doctors who might give that a shot.
Yeah. I'll write it down in here as well. All right, but let's hop over into Carcosa, which is starting with True Grit. This is another great Tommy card. True Grit may be assigned damage dealt to other investigators at your location. It's really down to personal preference, but for me, I really like True Grit as the card that I put my damage on and first. It's my priority, because then if I draw my rookie mistake, I can just get rid of my True Grit. It's my placeholder start one. If I have a True Grit or something worth fighting for, they're priority number 1, because they don't do anything else, right? And even in their perfect world, when they pay you back, it's still just 3 for 3. They're still good cards, and they soak for other people at your team, which is around you, which is really good for Tommy. But they also work really well for your at the very least, starting rookie mistake fodder. We then got Let Me Handle This. This one's a really good staple. You can find in the staple video, we talk more. But this basically just allows you to protect other investigators from treacheries and monsters that they might draw. Resourceful, great card. In Tommy, it really depends on what you want to pick up, but like worst case scenario, grabbing an extra lucky out of your discard pile is never a bad thing to do. We got Heroic Rescue, which I actually just played, so I remember what this one does. Thanks to Travis in our Valentine's video last week. But so an enemy, and not only an enemy would attack another investigator location, you engage that enemy and resolve its attack against you, then deal it 1 damage. Aw, shucks, Bryn, if only we had some soak to take that damage and maybe turn it into resources.
If only.
If only.
Like maybe a guard dog?
Maybe a guard dog.
And we get 2 damage.
Maybe a Brother Xavier that you somehow got the perfect 6/6 on, and then you're like, let's go. Wow. Calling in favors, you get to return an ally asset to your hand, then search the top 9 cards of your deck for an ally asset and play it, reducing its cost by X. This is really good, where you get to heal an ally, which might seem counterproductive, but it can be really good, especially if like you have a agency backup, or if you want to even just protect an ally from a rookie mistake you have not drawn yet, or get another ally into play. It's just really good card, and especially if you're doing a heavy ally build, which Tommy is probably going to do. Inspiring Presence, when the test is successful, you get to ready an ally asset and heal 1 damage or horror from it. You're probably starting to see the trend here, so I'm not going to spend more time on Inspiring Presence. But I will say it works really good with the likes of Beat Cop level 2 and Guard Dog. Then we got Not Without a Fight. This one's a very interesting skill that I don't play, but I think is actually pretty alright. You can only commit it to a skill test if you're engaged with an enemy, and for each enemy engaged with you, it gains Brain, Fist, Foot. So if you're engaged with an enemy, it's a Guts, Overpower, or a Manual Dex. It's very versatile, and that's why I think the card is good, even though we don't really play it because you can only use it against enemies, so it's not like perfect. But if you're planning on engaging a lot of enemies, maybe you're playing Aquina because you like are playing 4 players, I think Not Without a Fight could have a home there. Then we got Ever Vigilant, which you're going to play 3 assets from your hand, reducing the resource cost of each by 1. Obviously, this card is really good in any deck, especially if there's stick to the plan, but in Tommy, it reduces the cost of all the assets you're going to play, so that's why it's nice and spicy. Bryn, why don't you finish off Carcosa?
All right, we got Plucky. Composures are just kind of good in Tommy, you know? Just the way it is. We got a Test of Will. This one, like, it's good. It's just objectively a good card. Sits fast, you play it when an investigator at your location draws a non-weakness treachery card. Cancel that card's revelation effect, exile a Test of Will. So it means that you have to keep rebuying it, which can be a little tough depending on what type of build you're playing. You might need the XP for something else, but it is also a very good way to get out of something that will take you a long time to solve. Such as possibly a Frozen in Fear, if you don't have any good ways to solve that in your hand right now. Or an Ancient Evils. I guess there's always that too. With the upgraded 45 automatic, difference is you get +2 punch and you get to ignore retaliate. Can be good. The +2 is real key because 4 punch. So you kind of do want your weapons to be more than +1. We got Stick to the Plan. I'm not really going to talk about this one in depth because there is a whole lot to talk about, and if you really want to hear us do that, you can check out the Guardian Staples video that'll be linked below. Yeah, card is just plain good.
Yeah.
We got the Armor of Ardennes. This card is sweet. I don't play with it ever, but if there was a home for it, I mean, I should probably play with this card more. It's a weird one. It's level 5. It costs you 4 resources. It soaks for 4 meat damage. As a reaction, when damage is assigned to Armor of Ardennes, you can exhaust it to cancel one of that damage. So basically, this is just a Bulletproof Vest on steroids. However, it is less good than Bulletproof Vest sometimes, depending on your build, because it will likely not die. So there is that. That is something to think about. It depends how much red damage do you find yourself taking. Because if it's a lot, the Armor of Ardennes will see you through that, no problem.
Yeah.
Downside is sometimes putting it on is a rookie mistake.
No, Tommy, you wear the bulletproof vest,
Yeah.
not the magic armor.
Not the magic
You
armor.
rookie?
God damn it. How many times do I have to tell you this? I got the Key of Ease. Key of Ease is good. Yeah.
I mean, we always just jokingly say, because the card is freaking good.
It is just good.
But in Tommy, you get to recycle it.
This is true.
Kind of wild.
It does have some extra upside.
Yeah.
And possibly that whole discard the top 10 cards of your deck when it leaves play.
Mm-hmm.
That might be real here. That might be an actual downside.
It might be.
Yeah. The only real complaint I have about this one is that sometimes you're carrying it and you fumble it and it falls into a grate in the sewer and you're like, oh, that was a rookie mistake.
Yeah. Drop the keys.
Yeah.
All right. On to the jungle and the Forgotten Age. We got the survival knife. This is in our weapon video. We talk about it there. It has the thing where enemies need to attack you, and then you get to attack back. Soak is good, so you'll be able to weather that no problem. Venturer reloads Becky and other weapons and other things that require supplies. Also, when he dies, a 2/2 is really easy to kill equally. He'll pay himself back. Trusted, really good in Tom. You get attached to an ally as you control. They get +1 health and +1 sanity. Once again, this follows the trend. This is what Tommy do. This is what Tommy is looking to do. It makes more money out of the things he's going to do. Of note, you don't get trusted back when the ally dies, because trusted is not being defeated, the ally is. Last Chance gives you a bunch of wild icons, and you reduce one for each, with no other cards committed to the skill test. You can only do that, and reduces by 1 for each card in your hand. We talked about how Tommy might have card problems. This is a way that you can kind of just do that into the no hand build. If anyone's wondering why there is big hand but no small hand build, it's because small hand sounds like a nightmare. And this is why this is one of the few cards we see with this. Perseverance. Bryn loves this card. It's a guts worst case scenario, and it keeps you alive in case you have somehow lost all of your soak and you're in the worst place ever. And it's direct damage, so your soak is actually useless. This stops you from dying, and it's a very nice card for that reason.
Yeah, possibly you've committed some sort of a rookie mistake.
It's for some reason it's never not going to be funny when frick. I lost Brother Xavier and my guard dog, my Key of Yeast. They all fell down the damn sewer grate, and now Yog Sothoth is like blah, 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 blah. What a rookie mistake. Take the Initiatives in our staple, just a really strong card. We'll talk about it more in detail there. Second Wind, it heals you damage and then replaces itself. 2 damage if you drew a treachery this round, which means you don't have an enemy, which means you have the time to play it. It's a nice card. Even though you have Soak, you still might have made a rookie mistake, and you got to do some healing. Take card is a staple that gives you resources and cards if you fail the test it's committed to, but it'll ensure that you draw your Elder Sign and then pass. So that's why the Elder Sign is on this card, to just remind you of that. All right, Brandon, why don't you finish off Forgotten? I see, because with 2 of us, we're in a loop where one of us gets the big page, one of us gets the small page. So why don't you take the small page again?
All right, yeah, sure. We got Reliable. Normally this card is not incredible in most blue decks, actually, because your punch is high enough that you don't really need it. Yeah. However, Tommy's only got 4, and Tommy also has his signature asset is a weapon that you will never run out of shots for.
Yeah.
So you could just put Reliable on Becky. Make her a +3 gun instead of a +2.
Whoa.
That's pretty good. Even if you're not doing that, if you're playing any sort of melee weapon build, it's a solid choice. Mm-hmm. We got Well Prepared. I don't know. Every time I see this card, the artwork makes me think that this guy is not very well prepared, because he is shaving in his suit jacket.
Yeah.
So clearly he did not plan to be shaving here. Yeah. He can't have.
No.
That's a little odd. I'm thinking they probably were like, no, you can't have a topless man, even if it's only the reflection and only part of him.
Yeah.
Put a shirt on that man, and they were just like, whatever, I'll give him a jacket too.
Maybe the original title for this card in the art file was ill prepared, and they were like,
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one's just a 2-costed asset. It commits for no things for a reason. And that reason is that it has a lightning bolt ability that you can exhaust it to choose an asset you control. You get plus X skill value for this skill test, where X is the number of matching skill icons on the chosen asset. A lot of weapons commit for punch. And there are a lot of blue cards that just commit for 2 brain for reasons. This card does a pretty solid impression of just being a skill card every turn.
Yeah.
Got a Time-Worn Brand. This one's just a weapon. It's a beaten stick. You got to show up and give somebody a paddling.
It paddles.
It's a paddle. Got the Flamethrower. If you're playing a deck that's got an Aquana in it, this card might also be your best friend. You get to spread the damage out among enemies at the location. So you kind of want to have more than one enemy there.
Yeah. And it was the plant for the swarm keyword coming up in the future. Yeah, Flamethrower's sick. All right, we're on to Dream Eaters now. Whoa. I want to say we're flying, but we have too many jokes about Tommy being a rookie for this video to be flying. We got Steadfast. It commits for Brain and Fist base, but if you have 5 or more health and sanity remaining, it commits for Guts or an Overpower. If you have 10 or more, it commits for triple Guts or 3 Brain, 3 Fist. Not triple Guts, that would be 6 icons. But this is pretty easy to hit because you are going to have a lot of soak, keeping you healthy. Act of Desperation has additional cost to play it. You discard an item asset that takes up at least 1 hand slot. Fight, you get plus X and deal plus 1 damage, where X is the chosen asset's printed resource cost. If you succeed that asset in your play area, you gain X resources. Now you may be thinking, this is great. I can throw Becky away, play a better gun. No, you want to impress Becky by throwing away the yucky poo-poo flamethrower and replacing it with Becky. That is the correct line here. It's honestly just like really good for builds where you're just like shooting guns, and like I feel like this is also something that like a green-red combat investigator would also kind of like this, because when they're done with their Mauser, they can just chuck it at the enemy, right? It's kind of that. You get rid of your weapon and then replace it with something new while getting the resources back. Something worth fighting for is the inverse of True Grit. Basically just copy-paste what I said there, but replace all instances of damage with horror, and you have that card. The 45 Thompson and the Enchanted Blade are both in our weapon video, which you can find in the description. They're both good weapons as well. I actually recently played with the Thompson. I really like it, and I really like the upgrade, the blue one that you can get, which we're going to be talking about soon. I think it's a good choice for a weapon. I don't know why. I really like it, and if you act in desperation it, oh my god. Gain 6 resources. Holy cow.
I can't even. Most blue investigators can't even count that high.
They can't. They stop at 5 and say, that's my starting. That's where I'm comfortable. Hallowed Mirror gives you 3 copies of Soothing Melody, 1 of which is in your hand, 2 get shuffled into your deck. They heal 2 damage, or 2 horror, or any combination thereof, from among investigators and/or ally assets. If you've been paying attention, you know why that's important. And if you skip to this part in the video because you're looking at what you have in your collection, that's because you have allies that are going to be soaking damage for you, and this gets you more uses out of them. It also replaces itself, which is always a good thing. Ace of Swords gives you +1 fist. It's a tarot. It's the downside of these cards is that they're expensive when they're awkward when you draw them later on. But luckily, Tommy has a lot of money, so even if you do draw it later on, he's got the credit card for it. He's got the credit card to play his tarot card. Oh, Bryn, this is the easiest slide in the world.
Got the upgraded Enchanted Blade. It's like the other Enchanted Blade, only better in every way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, upgraded Thompson. It's like the other Thompson. Only better. in every way.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't say every way. I suppose they both have the same number of uses, but everything else about them is like better.
Yeah.
We got the agency backup. This card is generally kind of inefficient and slow.
Mm-hmm.
However, when you get to collect money because things die that have damage on them, this card has 4/4 printed on it. And lightning bolt effects that allow it to take damage or horror to help you even out those numbers, no matter what. Like to do things. They're not even just taking damage because you feel like it.
Mm-hmm.
They get to do damage to an enemy at your location, like the Beat Cop, or you get to deal them a horror to discover a clue at your location,
Which is
a
really
very powerful
strong.
effect.
Yeah.
And if that weren't enough, they can also be assigned damage and or horror that would be dealt to other investigators at your location. They can do that too.
The one thing you don't want to do is send them into the burning building and have them all blow up and then be like, wow, Tommy, that was a rookie mistake.
Yeah, pretty much. That's the thing you got to be careful with here. Because if you make a rookie mistake, the agency isn't backing you anymore. They know that's the wrong horse.
Yeah. So with this one, it's actually a little bit strange. I feel like if you have not drawn your rookie mistake yet, you want to be actively killing these guys. So like if someone takes damage, you put it on the agency backup, even if you feel like you're not getting full value from it. Because it's going to happen. I've seen it happen to people. I've heard it happen to people. You play the agency backup, you get a clue, you draw a rookie mistake, and you're like, well, fuck.
Well, that sucks.
That's why you don't activate your agency backup the turn you play it. Give it some room to breathe. Sweet. Dream Eaters. This is Tommy's cycle. So in theory, it has the good cards for him. And you're actually pretty right. Look at all these great cards. Okay, Solemn Vow. This is a myriad card, which means you get 3 of them for the price of 1. Well, it's 0, but it's still in your deck. You play it under the control of another investigator. If the owner of Solemn Vow is at your location, you can exhaust it to move 1 damage or horror from a card you control to a card that investigator controls. This is really nice on Tommy because you can just kill your things while healing other people. So now not only are you healing your teammates, but you are destroying your thing, which is giving you resources, which is putting back into your deck. That's all just 3 winning things.
Yeah, it's 3 great tastes that taste great together.
Hell yeah. And it's one of those things, because it's myriad, you can choose to put the number. I think that if you're playing 3-player, even though like the card effect is really good, I think that you can very comfortably get away with running 2. It is a guts, so like if you're thinking if I want a guts or a solemn vow, you could just run the solemn vow if you're not really feeling the card draw. But I think there's a case for both. Even at the worst case scenario, solemn vow is still just really good symbols for a test. First watch. When the draw encounter cards would happen, you draw X, where X is the number of players, and then you deal them out. No one other than you can have more than 1. So you can draw all the other ones, and then everyone's like, yay, Tommy, you're a hero. We got Daring. Daring's really good because it gives the enemies alert and retaliate, and then you draw a card. It also gives you 3 symbols. The alert and retaliate, the downside of this card, isn't really a downside for Tommy because they're just gonna bite your guard dog if you fail, and then that guard dog's gonna bite back. We have Tetsuo. Tetsuo is really good in general, but also really good in Tommy because he can be assigned damage or horror from other investigators at your location. And when he is defeated, you get to search your deck or your discard pile, and you get to choose an investigator, and that investigator searches for an item asset and adds it to their hand. This is just like gravy in Tommy Muldoon, right? Like this is just, there's so much good here on this card. Like you can help other investigators, and then it goes back into your deck to just do it all again. I feel flavor-wise, though, if Tetsuo dies by a rookie mistake, that's A-okay. That's how it's supposed to go. All right. What the frick does this card do? Commit only to a self-sacrifice. Commit only to a skill test of any type being performed by another investigator location. If this test fails, you must resolve all effects from the failed test, and instead of performing investigator, then either you draw 2 cards or the performing investigator draws 2 cards. So it's like Take Heart, but only cards and for anyone. It's kind of also like a... You could argue that this is a word of protection in some way. I'm sure you could. The failing effects aren't probably going to matter to you because you have, like, it's usually just damage and horror. Or, like discard a card from your hand. Or freaking just, it doesn't really matter because you're, like, set up for it. And you or that investigator draws 2 cards. So it's also some card draw there, too. Scrounger Supplies, it's a staple. Just a level 0 card added to your hand. There could be a lot of good level 0 cards of note. Becky is not a level 0 card. She has no level. She is transcended level, and that's why she is so cool. Fool Me Once is some treachery card mitigation. After you fail, so when you discard a treachery card after resolving its effect, so effectively when you fail a treachery card, or if it has no effect like Ancient Evils, the next ones that's drawn, you just cancel the revelation effect. So it's kind of like a ward of protection as well. Then we got Safeguard. During another investigator's turn, exhaust Safeguard. For the remainder of that investigator's turn, as they move from your location to a connected location, you may move with them. That's really good because you don't want to spend your actions moving. That's for someone else. You have to be shooting, drawing cards, playing assets. You don't have time to move.
Who's got time for that?
Brian.
Clue getters, that's who.
Yeah, clue getters, they move. That's their job. Or survivors. Or even rogues. Rogues move like there's no tomorrow. But us guardians and mystics...
The thing they do.
Yeah. This one's yours, Brian.
We got the Hungering Blade. This one's a neat weapon that has a limit of 1 per deck. As an additional cost to put this card into play, you must search your bonded cards for 3 copies of Bloodlust, see to the right, and shuffle them into your deck. As an action you get to fight, you get +1 punch for the attack for each attached copy of Bloodlust, but none if there are no attached copies of Bloodlust. The attack does deal +1 damage. If the attack defeats an enemy, you place 1 resource on this card from the token pool as an offering. Why are offerings important? Oh, Bloodlust, the bonded weakness. It is a madness, and as a revelation, you must either remove 2 offerings from the Hungering Blade to attach Bloodlust to it. If you cannot, then you take 1 horror and shuffle Bloodlust back to your deck. As a lightning bolt, while attacking with the Hungering Blade, you can shuffle Bloodlust back into your deck. The attack deals +1 damage, max once per attack. It's just kind of a lot of damage, you know? The downside to it is that, you know, we only have 4 punch, and this doesn't inherently give us plus any sort of bonus to our punch.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of got to have a plan for that, like maybe Ace of Swords and a B cop or something like that.
Yeah.
We got Sharp Vision. Tommy's got 3. He's got 3 book. It's entirely serviceable. This card commits for a book. If it is committed to a basic investigate action, it gains 2 book icons and the text. If this test is successful by 2 or more, you discover 1 additional clue at this location.
Mm-hmm.
It's you know, it's not an unreasonable thing to do.
I
difficult
say this...
to find.
Oh, sorry, you finished, and I got something.
Oh, yeah, sorry. It's difficult to find a game where you're going to spend every turn doing something.
Yeah.
Sometimes helping get clues is the best thing you could do.
And if you don't have time, you can commit this to your seeker who is investigating.
This is true. It does not have to be your test.
Yeah. And I say this every time, but I just hope, because that's got to be Daryl Simmons in the art. I hope that this holds true because, man, if I get my red-yellow skill-based investigator, I'll literally be in heaven.
We got us a brute force. You ever wanted to punch a man so hard he explodes?
Yes.
Because that's what this does. It commits for a punch. Well, it is committed during a basic fight action. It gains 2 punch icons and the text. If the test is successful by 2 or more, this attack deals +2 damage. 3 damage is a lot. It should be enough to kill most of the non-victory enemies in the game.
Mm-hmm.
If it isn't, it's enough to take a big enough chunk out of them that you can kill them with Becky or whatever the hell else you got.
Which is Becky. Only Becky.
Yeah, which is
Becky.
only Becky. You don't even think about playing a different weapon.
How dare you?
How dare you? It is also a red card, so you can get it back with things like Resourceful.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of good. We've got the upgraded Heroic Rescue. The I hesitate to use the term glow up on this card is huge, but we're going to live with it. This one costs 0 instead of 1. Skill icons, but don't look at those. Those are temporary.
I'm putting my finger over them.
It's fast. You play it when a non-elite enemy would attack another investigator at your location or a connecting location. You move to that location if you are not already there, engage the enemy, resolve its attack against you, and then deal it 1 damage. So this one, like the other one, is a little awkward because you have to be exactly in the right spot in order to play it. This one, sometimes this one's a shortcut too. Because are you really worried about the enemy attacking you? Probably not. Probably not. And if you are, well, you know.
Don't play it.
Yeah, I mean, really. Like, you do have a very clear option.
Yeah.
This card is both a spirit and a tactic, which are 2 quite relevant subtypes.
Yeah.
The latter of which meaning that you can put it underneath your stick to the plan.
Yeah.
And if you've got it there, you can kind of just be like, yeah, guys, you do your thing. Don't worry about it. They draw an enemy and they're like, no, come help me. And you're like, no, just play your turn. Just do it. And they do. And you're there. And the guy takes damage. And he's engaged with you now, which is probably a rookie mistake on his part, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't seem like a good plan. Got the upgraded Leadership. This one commits for a wild. If it is committed to a skill test being performed by another investigator, it gains a brain and a wild. Just a lot of icons.
Yeah.
If the test is successful, gain 2 resources. If it is committed to a skill test being performed by another investigator, that investigator also gains 2 resources, which is a lot of money. And with +2 or +3, they're probably only failing if they're like Preston.
Yeah. And like, probably don't give this to Preston. He doesn't need leadership.
He doesn't need the money either.
No,
he doesn't need anything to do with this.
Classic rich get richer.
Yeah. Got the Black Cat. This guy costs 5 XP to put in your deck, but he is sick as frick. He only costs 2 money to play. Anytime you reveal a tablet, a squid, or a elder sign, you may choose to use one of his effects instead of, its normal effect. And he's got tablet. -1, he takes a direct damage. Squid, -1, he takes a direct horror. And elder sign, +5. Heal all damage from the Black Cat. This guy can take damage for days.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't, whatever, he paid for himself.
Yeah.
No problem. No problems there. Lastly on this page, we got Spiritual Resolve. It does cost 5 XP to buy, however, it is myriad, which means that for the price of 1, you get 3 of them.
That's 15 XP.
It's, sort of.
Yeah, in theory.
Yeah.
If you look at it just at face value.
It's 15 pips if you look at it a little cross-eyed.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one takes up your spell slot, which, if you'll notice, we really kind of haven't seen anything that does that.
Oh, shucks.
It's not contested. Blue doesn't do that. It soaks for 3 and 3. And as a lightning bolt, you can discard a copy of it from your hand to heal all damage and horror from this copy of Spiritual Resolve, which is normally very, very strong, but in Tommy Muldoon, it's probably only something you want to do if you're engaged with a lot of enemies and you need the healing now.
Yeah.
Or the extra soak, like, right now. And you can't afford to take an attack of opportunity to play, your new one. But otherwise, I think this card is very strong.
Yeah, definitely.
I've played with it 3 times, and never once have I been disappointed.
Yeah, no, it always brings it. And it's quiet. Yeah. It quietly brings it. It's just really good soak. It doesn't do anything bombastic like you expect from a 5 experience card, other than just be like hyper efficient.
Yeah, it just anytime that I'm playing blue and I'm like, I want to buy a bulletproof vest or I want to buy an Elder Sign amulet, you got to stop and think because you do have other options and many of them are better. And this is kind of unique to blue. However, if you don't have stuff beyond the core set,
Yeah.
you know,
They still do that job.
Yeah, they're not bad by any stretch. You just have better options, more efficient options.
Yeah. Oh, it's my turn for a short one. We have the Innsmouth Conspiracy. So, for a detailed breakdown of the Blessed and Cursed cards, you can check down in the video's description where we have all of those videos going through Guardian Blessed, Seeker Cursed, etc., etc. We have a few notable cards here that Travis wanted to include, one of which is Holy Rosary 2. You get +1 brain, and after you succeeded a brain test on a treachery, exhaust Holy Rosary, add 2 blessed tokens to the Chaos bag. Hey, do you know what's sweet? Passing tests. Do you know what's even sweeter? Benefiting from that. This isn't a card that you look as like, I'm going to use this to put blessed tokens in my bag, but like pair this with like a Brother Xavier, and oh baby, you got a stew going. That sounds like a tasty time, and you're probably going to get some blessed tokens in because of that. Next one here is Enchant Weapon. You get attached to a weapon asset. It becomes a relic, and it takes up an arcane slot, which is the spell slot as we call those, and they're not really needed, as you can tell, as Spiritual Resolve is the one that we were just talking about, the first notable one. But when you perform a fight action using the attached asset, like Becky, you get to add your brain to the skill value for this test if you exhaust Enchant Weapon. And then you get exhaust this card. It's like, do you not exhaust? Like, am I just going through some sort of weird, like, where this card's just busted? No, but you do exhaust, and you get to add the owner's brain to your fist for this attack. So that means Becky attacks even more, and it deals +1 damage. You can put it on other people's things or your other weapons, but remember, Becky would really appreciate it if you would just think of her for once. Last card here.
Just one time.
Just once. That's all she's asking. Last one here is we got Spirit of Humanity. This is a 2-cost Ritual Blessed Cursed asset that takes up the spell slot. This one is another one that's actually relevant for the spell slot, and it's really good in Tommy. I think Tommy is one of the better users of the Blessed mechanic because he can load the bag up no problem by just exhausting the Spirit of Humanity, taking a damage and a horror, and then adding 2 Blessed tokens to the bag. Luckily, he can use this to potentially like top off and kill off some of his units while also benefiting from it as well. I think it's a really cool line you can take with Tommy, and I think you should maybe consider trying it out if you're interested in a Blessed Tommy. He would also do really well with the Ancient Covenant because he can run that. It's the best Covenant, so like if you can do it and you can put Blessed tokens in reliably, it's probably worth considering. If you're interested in that archetype, of course. All right.
Yeah, that card might as well be called Magical Christmas Land.
Yeah.
Because it lets you live all these types of magical Christmas fantasies that we've been talking about.
It's true. It is, yeah. It's like, perfectly kill my 2 Spirit of Humanities. Do it when you play the man in the Red Glove Man. They're ready. You do it again in the Mythos phase. I think we got a stew going. Bryn, why don't you start these Edge of the Earth cards?
Oh, we got geared up. This one is a little bit odd and will depend on your deck composition as to whether you want it or not. It is a talent. It is permanent. It is limit 1 per deck. Purchase at deck creation. Forced. So you may not choose not to do this. When your first turn of the game begins, you play any number of item assets from your hand, reducing their cost by 1. Mm-hmm. During this turn, you have 3 fewer actions to take. So it depends entirely what your deck looks like. This card, I think, has the potential to be very, very strong, but it also has the potential to be, you show up, you run your mulligan, and your teammates are like, what are you going to do? And you're like, I'm going to play Becky, go. And they're like, I think you're in a toxic relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that being said, like when this card is strong, it is very strong. Mm-hmm. And I think you will know, well, I mean, unfortunately, you might not know at deck creation, if your deck is the kind of deck that'll want it or not, and that's the only time you can buy it. But if you're like you gotta
I think
you
Geared
gotta
Up's
be
a
planning
card.
to build a deck that this deck will be good in, or this
Yeah.
card will be good in. So
And I think Geared Up is a card that we're going to see get better as the card pool grows as well.
agreed. The more items there are,
The better.
the better, right? Toe-to-toe. Zero costed, fight. This attack deals +1 damage and is automatically successful. As an additional cost to perform this attack, the chosen enemy makes an attack against you. Psh, whatever, man. Doesn't matter. We don't care about that here. We're trying to kill the red-gloved man, and it's hard. Even if you're not trying to kill the red-gloved man, the attack against you is probably a fairly minimal cost to just deal 2 damage to an enemy, no matter how hard it is to hit.
Yeah.
You know? Wait, get behind me. This one is zero costed fast. Play during any lightning bolt window. Until the end of this phase, whenever an enemy would attack another investigator at your location, it attacks you instead, then engages you. Cancel 1 horror dealt by each attack made this way, because you're not scared. Yeah. This is pretty much everything I said about the last card. You can kind of, it's the same. It's very similar. It's not quite the same thing, but
yeah,
you can use this to protect a lot of your teammates from just about anything for almost no cost.
Hell yeah.
Getting attacked by enemies is, if it's a problem, then you're in trouble. We got bandages. This one is a 2-costed asset, uses 3 supplies. If bandages has no supplies, discard it. As not a lightning bolt, a reaction effect, because they are 2 very wildly different things. And after an investigator or an ally asset at your location takes 1 or more damage, you can spend a supply to heal 1 damage from that card. It doesn't even exhaust itself. Admittedly, you can only do this once per instance of damage, no matter how much damage was dealt.
Yeah.
But this is very good with things like the guard dog or the beat cop or the agency backup, where you can just keep using their effects over and over again and healing them back up. You can also use it to heal your teammates if they take a bunch of damage.
But why are they taking damage in the first place?
Yeah, that's your job.
That's your job.
Yeah. We got the jury rig. This one's just like some nails and crushed glass, a bunch of barbed wire, whatever. It's a zero cost. I think it's an event, and you attach it. I don't know what subtype it has. It doesn't matter. You attach it to an item asset controlled by an investigator at your location as a lightning bolt during a skill test on the attached asset. You can spend 1 of its charges. Their durability, not charges.
But they're charges.
You understand.
Yeah, you get it. You get it.
You understand. You get +2 skill value for the test. Kind of just good.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 3 unexpected courages.
Yep.
Notably, if you're playing on a low player count and you need to be able to get clues, you can also put this on something like a flashlight.
Yeah.
And just be like, this flashlight is worth +4 now.
Yeah.
That's
nice.
what it does. That's very strong. If you don't need that, you can put it on, one of your weapons and be like, all right, Yog Sothoth, I'm coming for you. I got a sock full of nails.
Attached to the butt of Becky.
Yeah. It might work.
It might
work. We've got a medical student. This one costs 2, and as a reaction effect after it enters play, you heal 1 damage and 1 horror from an investigator or ally asset at your location. She soaks for 1 and 1, so she kind of just pays for herself.
Yeah.
And otherwise, you get either more uses out of an ally asset, or you get to heal 1 of your teammates, or even heal yourself if maybe you made some sort of a little boo-boo.
Yeah.
Like one of them rookie mistakes. And you need to find a way to dig yourself out of the hole.
Yeah, and the only way to do it is this medical student who's about to get killed by a spirit of humanity.
There's only one way out.
Yeah.
We got Sled Dog. Your deck can include 4 copies of him. 2 of them take up a single ally slot. They're 3. They soak 2 and 2.
Doing an arithmetic here.
As an action, you can exhaust X of them to fight. You get plus X punch for the attack, and instead of its standard damage, it deals X damage, or you can exhaust it and X to move X times. Mm-hmm. So obviously, if you only have one of them, it's kind of not good.
There we even say bad.
Like, that's where it starts to get interesting. 2 of them means that you've got a weapon that you get to fight at plus 2 and 2 damage, an unlimited number of times, just only once per turn.
Yeah.
Which can be very strong. Also, notably, Sled Dogs are not afraid of the conglomeration of spheres.
They are not, no.
They are not. Those are just balls. They're dogs.
Yeah, dogs love playing chasing balls.
They're kind of a weirdo. If you're playing with them, you probably built a deck around them.
Yeah.
Trying to get as many of them into play as you can. You don't really want them to die.
Yeah, they're kind of like an antithesis to what Tommy wants to do.
Yeah. However, when you do have lots of them, they're so good.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, if you have 2 or 3 of them, this card's a tank.
Yes.
We got combat training. These composures are really good for Tommy for reasons that I believe Justin has already explained. But we'll go into it again. It costs 0 to play. It's fast. You can only have one of them in play, but that doesn't matter. You get +1 punch. The upgraded one gives you +1 punch and +1 foot just all the time while it's in play.
Which is nice.
That's a good place to be. Non-direct damage and or horror must be assigned to it before it can be assigned to your Investigator card. Doesn't say anything about assigning it to True Grit or Medical Student or literally anything else, though.
Yeah.
And as a lightning bolt, you can spend a resource to get +1 punch or +1 fist for a test. Even if you aren't somehow able to dodge damage that it should take, or that it must take, it costs you 0 and no action to play.
Yeah.
So if you get any number of resources back out of this, it's kind of like, all right, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. This one pays you back.
Yeah, it literally pays you.
Sick.
That's just kind of good.
All right, let's keep Edge of the Earth going. We got Butterfly Swords 2 and 5. They let you do attack a few times, and then you can exhaust them to fight again, adding your foot to the test, and you get +1 damage. The level 2 one only gives you +1 fist, but doesn't deal +1 damage unless you exhaust it. So it's like, man, these Butterfly Swords, I'm still just like looking at them being like, they're just fine. And Tommy still only has 2 foot, but it is another weapon that you can use. And the upgraded one, 4/5, does let you attack again, where you get a fight. If you are successful on the attack, sorry, you don't even need to be successful. Just after you attack, you fight again, adding your foot. So it's effectively +4, allowing you to attack at 8. Having like an attack at 6 and then an attack at 8 for one action is really good. And then if both attacks were successful, you may exhaust Butterfly Swords to have the second attack deal +1 damage, effectively giving you potential output of 7 damage for your turn. So like, it's good. I just think there's better options. But if you are interested in it, you could run it here in Tommy and have it get done.
Yeah, the main downside to this one, I think, is that if you play this card, Becky will throw all your stuff into the street.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Tommy's rookie mistake was marrying his gun.
Honestly, it's a weird choice. It's a weird one.
Yeah. We got Bangle of Jinxes. 2 cost 1 experience asset, takes up your accessory slot. 1 charge. Spend a charge, you get +2 skill value for this test. After an enemy attacks you, place 1 charge on Bangle of Jinxes. Legit, this seems kind of sick in Tommy. This is a nice little tool there to get the job done. It gives you +2 to a skill value, so you use it for your relevant tests. And then you're going to get attacked and you're going to soak and you get a benefit from it, effectively giving you unexpected courage. Unexpected courage. That's some sick value. We have Dauntless Spirit. This is the one where it gains brain equal to fist or fist equal to brain. So how about 7 your stats for a test? 7 brain or 7 fist. If you want that, that's pretty good. Okay. Blood will have blood. Play after an enemy attacks you, max 1 per attack. Damage and a horror from this attack cannot be assigned to ally assets. For each point of damage and a horror you took from this attack, draw 1 card. So this may seem like also counterproductive to what Tommy wants to do, which is kill his allies. This also just draws cards. And you're not too scared about taking a bunch of damage. So like if you take 2 damage and 2 horror from an enemy attack, you can just draw 4 cards, effectively netting you 3 because the blood will replace itself, right? So you're like, you get 4 cards, but you're like, you get 3 from it really. And then you have your soak to make this not really a problem. Seems kind of cool. We have 2 on the trails. These ones are still the weird cards that I'm still like, they read really nice, but I'm curious to see how they actually are if I play them. The level 1 you get to choose an enemy or location other than yours. Either move twice toward that enemy or discover 1 clue at any empty location between you and the chosen enemy along the shortest path. And then the upgraded one, choose an enemy at any location other than yours, move twice towards that enemy, discover 1 clue at each location you entered by this effect. So this allows you to hunt down enemies, kill enemies, because that's going to be your job, while also getting some clues in the process. A bit heavy on the experience for the effect, but I think especially in 2-player, this can be really nice for Tommy, because in 2-player, you want to flex more than you want to specialize. That's just like my new philosophy, and it's been working really well, and I just think that like on the trail can be really nice for Tommy there. Then we have Snipe, a card I always forget exists. During the next fight action you perform this turn using a ranged or firearm asset, treat each skull, cultist, tablet, squid, or autofill you reveal as a 0. This action does not provoke attacks of opportunity. Honestly, Becky would love this. So maybe the anniversary is coming up, so maybe consider putting some snipes in your deck. This card also really has value because it allows you to go more all in on a test. So you can use Becky and then commit a vicious blow and like really ensure that you get it. Brandon, why don't you finish off Edge of the Earth?
We've got a quick draw holster, which is a card I really want to like, but like at the end of the day, it kind of costs a lot. You can't put Becky in it. Costs 4 to play, and it's a level 4 card. It commits for a punch and 2 foot, which is not terrible. As a lightning bolt, you can choose a firearm asset that takes up only 1 hand slot in your play area to attach to quick draw holster, or swap that with a different one in your play area. Limit 1 attached asset. As a lightning bolt, you can exhaust the quick draw holster to perform a fight action on the attached asset without paying its action cost, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Is it good? We're not going to get into that. But it is cool. Mm-hmm. And it does also let you hold, well, I mean, not really let you hold things, so that Becky doesn't get mad because when she finds out, she'll be pissed.
Is that another gun in your quick draw holster?
But it is a good way to shoot a whole lot of bullets real quick.
Yeah.
We've got the Brand of Cathaga. This is a spell for fight, but it lets you use your punch.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much why it's here. Although admittedly, Tommy does have a fairly respectable brain score and some very easy ways to make it better.
Yeah.
If that is what you're trying to do, this might be a good upgrade to chase to do extra damage with. We've got the Cyclopean Hammer. I don't know what to say about this one.
It's smash and bash.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm sure there's some sort of joke to be made about a ball peen hammer, but like, whatever.
Cyclopean ball peen hammer.
Yeah. It's kind of like Tommy. It's boring and it gets the job done.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to hear us talk about it in more detail? It's in the weapon video. We've got the protective gear. If you own the Edge of the Earth Investigator cards and you are ever considering purchasing either the Bulletproof Vest or, alternatively, the Elder Sign Amulet, should probably think about buying this instead. It costs less XP, it soaks 3 of each, and it has another nifty little ability that might be handy.
Yep.
Even if it's not, it's still some pretty efficient soak. 3 and 3 is a lot of damage.
Yeah.
And its ability does damage to it evenly.
Yeah.
So, like if you get to prevent hazards from hurting you, you're probably going to get your 6 money out of this.
Yeah. Notably, the scenarios that have that are the Forgotten Age and Innsmouth have a lot. I don't know about Edge of the Earth. I haven't broken that one down, but probably there's a lot of fucking snow in Edge of the Earth.
Yeah. This is true. We got the Bruiser. It is a 3-costed level 3 talent. There's a whole cycle of these that do a myriad different, well, I mean, not myriad different things. They all kind of do the same thing, but for different reasons.
Yeah.
That has uses 2 resources. You replenish these resources at the start of each round. Resources on this card, the Bruiser may be used to pay for armor, firearm, or melee assets. Cards, I guess, but they're going to be assets. Let's not beat around the bush. You want to play a lot of those kinds of things. You can even use this to pay for Becky. She can't get mad about this one, right?
Yeah. And you can use it also when you're firing Becky.
Yeah. It makes Becky better. As a lightning bolt, you can spend one of its resources to get +1 to the skill value for a test on an armor, a firearm, or a melee asset. Most armor doesn't have tests on it.
Yeah.
And the one that I can think of that does is real weird.
Which one's that?
The enchanted armor.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah.
It's like real strange. But this is going to do a lot of work. You want to play all of those types of things.
Mm-hmm.
We got the Rod of Animalism. You have 2 additional ally slots that can be used to hold creature assets. When you're playing a creature asset, you can reduce its cost by 1. So, mostly if you're playing a sled dog deck, this card is your best friend. In fact, it might be your only friend after you play a sled dog deck, because your deck might do nothing if you don't find your sled dogs in time.
Yeah, almost there, almost got it, almost there.
Don't worry about it, guys.
Yeah.
How many turns are left? I'll get them. However, this card can also hold things like the Mysterious Raven, or which does some interesting stuff, or the Stray Cat, or Guard Dogs.
Or Guard
Dogs, and it makes them cost 2, which sort of turns them into a weird roundabout, like, resource card too. Yeah, it's like it's an emergency cache and a Guard Dog.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Buckle up, everyone. We're on the return twos. Brennan and I, we're riffing too much. We have too many jokes about Becky and Tommy dropping keys down wells. But we're on to the return to boxes. We got level 2 dynamite. So choose either your location or connecting location. Deal 3 damage. It's cheaper. That's the big thing on this one, right? I think so.
I think so.
Yeah. Hey, dynamite blast but cheaper. Sounds cool. Upgraded bandolier. You have 2 additional hand slots. You can only be used to hold weapon assets. While you have weapon assets held in 2 or more hands, you get +1 brain. This is what Becky has been trying to tell you all along. If you have Becky, she will make you feel comfortable and sane. Becky is great. We all love Becky.
The only thing I'm getting from that one is that you can cheat on Becky with no repercussions.
It's true. It's true. She's over here, though, so I can't speak bad of her right now. We got Dig Deep. It's like the other one. It's just costs 0 to put into play. Same with physical training. Costs 0 to put into play. Also has more symbols on it for committing. Blackjack. You get +2 for this attack. If you perform a second enemy engaged in another investigator, deal +1 damage for this attack if you succeed, and deal no damage if you fail. Just some good security. It's a really good one-handed weapon. Saves you the time on having to play your taunts. Going call back. Ooh, that was so long ago in the video. Do you remember? If you were at YouTube. But yeah, it's just a nice solid weapon. Upgraded survival knife is probably one of my favorite weapons in the game. Card's really good. Then we have backpack. You gotta search the top 12 cards of your deck for 3 non-weakness item or supply cards and attach them to it. You can play them as if they're in your hand. Stable video. We can find that in the description. Really strong. And then we got the Star 17. Each ass you control with health gets +1 health. Each ass you control with sanity gets +1 sanity. My God, Tommy is salivating. That's so many more resources. And now we got to deal 5 and 5 to kill the red-gloved man. It's going to be freaking impossible. I'll take this one. It's the upgraded Hallowed Mirror. You can now choose either 2. You can change the 2 on it to a 3, or shuffle it into your deck to discard it. So it can either deal heal 2 damage or 2 horror, or any combination thereof, and then it gets shuffled into your deck. Or it can heal 3 damage and 3 horror in a combination. So really good healing, very versatile, really nice upgrade. If you do, if this is part of your game plan, it's really good. All right, Bryn, Investigator Decks. Let's close this one out.
We got the Flesh Ward. This card takes up your arcane slot, which is a weird thing. It's a 3-costed asset, uses 4 charges. When you are dealt damage and or horror from an enemy attack, exhaust Flesh Ward and spend 1 charge, cancel 1 damage or horror just dealt to you from that attack. It also soaks 1 and 1 on its own. This card just absorbs a shit ton of damage from enemy attacks. Mm-hmm. We've got the level 0 Safeguard. The difference here is that you move after the other investigator moves, so they will engage any monsters at the new location, and you only get to move 1 location instead of all of the locations that they move during their turn. Still fine, still great included as a level 0 deck. We got Glory. You remember how we were talking about Tommy's problems mostly involving the number of cards that he can draw? If you defeat an enemy for 1 money, you can draw 2 cards. It's kind of just good. Stand Together. It's in the staple video. It's just money.
Just money.
Just money. Lesson Learned. This one is a 1-costed fast event that you play after you take damage from an enemy attack. Like you're probably going to do because it's easy.
It's your job.
Yeah.
You were literally.
I'm not sure how this interacts with the cards that can take damage from other investigators. I imagine you have still taken the damage, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah, that's a weird one. We'll let YouTube correct us on that.
Yeah, YouTube's great at specifying that.
They'll figure it out. They're real good at it. It commits for some pretty sweet symbols, and the effect is just you discover 2 clues at your location. 2 clues for 1 card is a great rate of return, especially when you don't have to spend an action on that card.
Yeah.
We got the upgraded Overpower. This one commits for 3 instead of 2, and if the test is successful, you draw 1 card, 2 cards instead if it succeeds by 2 or more. Tommy's weakness. He doesn't draw that many cards. He has to draw cards in order to be able to. He's like a shark. He's got to keep keep moving through the cards in his deck in order to breathe or whatever.
Yeah. I'm drowning. I can't breathe. Poor Tommy's just dying.
I got the further upgraded Dynamite Blast. This one costs an extra XP, but in exchange for that, it is fast and can be played during any lightning bolt window, which is kind of wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's the same card. Mm-hmm. A level 3 Taunt. This one is fast. Play during any lightning bolt window. Engage any number of enemies at your location. For each enemy engaged this way, deal it 1 damage and draw a card. If you're fighting spiders, this card is sick.
Oh my god, yeah.
If you're not fighting spiders, this card is also still probably pretty fine. Mm-hmm. Assuming that is what you want to do. Obviously gets better at higher player counts, like every card that scales with the number of enemies that are at your location.
Definitely. Oh, well, bro, why don't you take this one?
We got the level 4 Physical Training. This one costs 2 like its level 0 predecessor, and unlike its level 2 predecessor, commits for the same symbols as the level 2. But this one uses 2 resources. Replenish these resources at the start of each round. As a lightning bolt, spend 1 resource from your resource pool or from physical training to get +1 brain or +1 punch for this test. So you can use this as a guts every turn. You can use it to make Becky +3 twice in a turn. You can do all kinds of sweet stuff with this card.
Yeah.
It does cost 4 XP though, so
it does, yes.
Bear that in mind. If you're playing with this, it's probably pretty core to your plan.
Yeah, and they do it does cost 4, but they do feel really nice to play with. They are very, very strong cards. Not busted, but just like they provide you with such great consistency. Whoa. No Travis, so I gotta figure this deck out. Oh, good, Becky's in it. All right, we're off to a good start.
Easy.
So honestly, this looks just like a nice run-of-the-mill Tommy deck. We're going to start with our events. We have Let Me Handle This to protect people, Lucky to protect your own tests, Prepared for the Worst to find your weapons, Scrounge for Supplies to grab your level 0 cards back, and Stand Together to give you and someone else resources. Skills are really easy. Guts, Take the Initiative, Vicious Blow, all really good skills that we have here to start with. Protect you in the Mythos phase, help other people in the Mythos phase, and Vicious Blow is just more damage. Then we look at our assets, is where things get spicy, where Tommy is. 245s, Becky, those are your weapons, those are how you're killing things. For your assets, you have Beat Cop, Guard Dog, Tetsuo. For your ally slots are those three. Beat Cop and Guard Dog both can deal damage, as we've talked about. Beat Cop, not so much at this point, but he still just represents +1 fist, which is very important. And Guard Dog is really good at dealing damage and, giving you money back in the process, because that dog's been saving. Tetsuo is really nice here, and this is also probably why Travis put in only 3 weapons, because Tetsuo acts as another sort of Prepared for the Worst. If you're looking for him, you're going to keep him in your first hand, and you're looking to kill this guy ASAP if you can. 3 Solemn Vows to do the kind of supporty tank that Tommy can play. 2 Something Worth Fighting Fors, 1 True Grit. Likely only 1 True Grit because Tommy just inherently has more damage soak, and also his Guard Dog also soaks more damage than it does horror. So damage is not really your concern. That's why there's only 1 True Grit, and 2 Something Worth Fighting For. Really nice, really simple deck list here. Really good, clean Tommy. As we said at the beginning, Tommy is not exactly an exciting, bombastic investigator who's going to break the game wide open, but he's going to provide you a really solid play style that'll be very helpful for your team. He's very fun. I think he gets really good in 3 players. He can work well in 2 as well, and he's probably great in 4. Solo Tommy, I don't even want to think about that, to be honest. That sounds kind of like a nightmare.
I bet you it's workable.
Yeah, I mean, I think realistically, most investigators, especially now with the big card pool, can work solo. That's just the magic of Arkham, baby.
Yeah, he is definitely like the grilled cheese sandwich of investigators. Like, not exciting, but like, yeah, I'd like one.
Yeah, and if you tear him open, he's filled with cheese. Huge thank you to our patrons for supporting the channel. If you want to become a Patreon member and get a bunch of exclusive posts, videos, want to play on our Patreon game days, you can find them down in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one, and as always, GG's.